Hi friends, I'm here with another video today that I hope will inspire and encourage you. To say that our world is experiencing an unprecedented time is an understatement. To say that many of us are experiencing unprecedented stress as a result of what's going on in our world is another understatement. Last week, I shared a video about the importance of stewarding our thoughts during this season, and I was sharing about how important it is to focus on things that are beautiful, praiseworthy, virtuous, lovely, and that peace returns to us when we do those things. I'll link the video here for you in the cards. Today, I wanted to talk about the importance of working with your physicality, your body, to help shift your mindset. And there are three things that I'm going to suggest doing. They are going to actually help to increase your confidence and also reduce your stress so that you can better deal with the days that we are living in right now. The first one may be familiar to you. It's an idea called the power pose. And TED Talks are amazing. I love them. Watched many of them. One of the most popular is by a researcher by the name of Cuddy. And hers to this day is still one of the most popular TED Talks ever. She's got 56.9 million views. And I'll put a link for that particular talk in the cards as well. In her research, she found that doing a power pose for just 2 minutes per day is going to increase your testosterone by 20% and decrease your cortisol levels by 25%. Why is that important? It's important because higher levels of testosterone, and that's both in men and women, lead to an increased feeling of confidence. Meanwhile, lower levels of cortisol lead to decreased anxiety and an improved ability to deal with stress. So, if we want to increase our confidence for dealing with the many challenges that are coming against us, as well as decrease our anxiety and our stress because of all that's going on, we can do one thing with our bodies that actually can help us do that, and that is to adopt a power pose for just 2 minutes per day. Now, you may wonder what a power pose is. A power pose can be like standing in a Wonder Woman position. It can be raising your arms in victory over your head. I'm going to go ahead and link, as I mentioned, that video, and there's some more suggestions for power poses there. But basically, by just doing that 2 minutes a day, you're going to support your body. Why is this important? Because what you do with your body shapes your mind. What you do with your mind shapes your behaviors, and behaviors shape outcomes. So in just 2 minutes per day, you can increase your confidence for dealing with what's going on and also lower your stress for dealing with what's going on in our world today. Another strategy, number 2, resetting your vagus nerve. Now, I work with an amazing naturopath by the name of Dr. Cheryl Townsley. She's the one who taught me this trick. So if you want to relieve some tightness in your neck, if you want to release some tightness in your shoulders, if you want to calm your emotions and also your digestion, if you want to reduce your stress and also integrate your brain so that you can think better, you can actually do this thing called resetting your vagus nerve. It takes 15 seconds and it's totally free. It impacts your entire nervous system when you reset your vagus nerve. I'm going to go ahead and link in the cards here to that particular video so that you can learn that strategy. I'm not going to repeat it here because Cheryl does an amazing job of doing that. The third thing I'm going to suggest also comes from my naturopath. It's the R&R pose. And basically what you do in the R&R pose, and I'll link a video for that here too, is you put your feet higher than your heart and you force all of the gravity to bring blood flow back to your core. Now that is a very, very simple description of what she goes into in greater detail in the video, but here's what happens. When you do that, your body receives the message that everything's okay, and it can embrace peace and calm. It's called the parasympathetic calm mode. Ideally, you do it for 15 minutes, and when you do it for 15 minutes, it's the equivalent of resting for about 4 hours. So when you're doing it, you're doing nothing else. You are not paying attention to any technology. You are literally just breathing and resting, and it is amazing. I can tell you from my personal experience, it helps me to rest and to let go. And for those of you who are really dealing with a lot of stress, taking 15 minutes will, I can't even tell you what it will do to just help you come to a place of peace and calm. Now, 15 minutes is too much. at least do 5 or 10. But again, I'll link the video here so that you can learn more about the R&R pose. Let me just say this. A lot of us right now are being asked to do things that are completely outside of our norm. Some of you are homeschool teachers now when you've never taught before. Some of you are having to work from home under less than ideal conditions. Some of you are confined to an apartment building, and it's not easy to be in that space. Some of you are having to have time and space to yourself that you don't necessarily normally have. You like being around people. And some of you are having the opposite, where you are being around people and you have no way of getting more time for yourself. So there are lots of different ways that we're being challenged in this season. It's requiring us to do so much that is outside of our comfort zones. So as I was thinking about this video and how to encourage you, I remembered a story that came to my mind when I was completely out of my comfort zone. And it was years ago, and I was preparing to take a group of people out. This is going to kind of sound crazy, but we were going to go to the mall and we were going to encourage people. Basically, we'd all taken a workshop together where we learned about the power of just strengthening people and comforting people and exhorting people just by having positive interactions with them. And so we had done, as part of this workshop, we had done an experiment where we went to the local mall and did it. And so at the end of this workshop, I was thinking to myself, well, we can't just let this be the only time we do it. We need to do this more. So I sent around a sheet and I just said, hey, anybody wants to do this, go ahead and sign up. Well, I wasn't prepared for the nearly 70 people that signed up on the sheet. So now I was like, well, wait a second. Obviously, I'm going to have to be responsible for this because I'm the one who suggested it. So a few weeks later, I scheduled a time for our group to go out to the mall to do this. Now, I, at that time, had zero experience doing anything like that. And I remember knowing that I was supposed to do it, feeling encouraged actually by God to do it. But I felt so clueless. And so I'm driving to the event and I'm getting ready to go lead these people. And inside I'm thinking, what the heck am I doing? I do not know anything about what we're about to do. All these people think I have a lot of experience simply because I sent around a sign up sheet. And they're expecting me to lead them through this. And I don't even know that I can do this. So I'm kind of lamenting the whole time. And finally I start talking to God about it. And I'm expecting some really great encouragement. And the way that God speaks to me is sometimes a thought will come into my brain, or a phrase, or an unction, or I don't know, just something kind of a gut feeling or a gut sense. And sometimes I hear almost a little, really still small voice. And this time it was kind of I don't know how to describe it, but it was just this phrase jumped into my spirit, and it was, fake it till you make it. And I started laughing. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's your encouragement? Fake it till you make it? And that's all that I sensed. That's all that I heard. And it's so funny because when you watch Amy Cuddy's video, she says the same thing. Now, that video happened actually in 2012. The experience that I'm talking to you about right now was way back in 2003. So anyway, I'm going to this event and I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, if I really was confident about what I was about to do, what would that look like? What would I say? How would I come on this, how would I enter? How would I introduce myself? What would I do to help them feel like I actually know what I'm doing? And I started envisioning myself doing it. And before you knew it, my back straightened, I started breathing deeper, my head was up, I could feel confidence coming into my body. And I realized I was actually rehearsing for what was about to happen. And it's interesting because when I've shared this story before, my husband said that it reminded him of this story in a book called Judges, where God is preparing Gideon to go up against this army. They're called the Midianites. And in the book of Judges, it describes those Midianites as absolutely impossible to number, that they're like swarms of locusts. And, God is basically encouraging Gideon to go and to save Israel from this army. And, he's having this conversation, and he does eventually give some signs to Gideon that everything's going to be okay. But even before he gives those signs, he says to Gideon, go in the strength that you have. Go in the strength that you have to do this thing that I'm calling you to do. And that's kind of what faking it till you make it looks like. Go in the strength you have. You may have a tiny bit of strength, But use that tiny bit of strength that you have right now and envision what it looks like to be confident and without stress in whatever it is that you're having to manage right now. Take 2 minutes to do a power pose. Take 15 seconds to reset your vagus nerve. Take 15 minutes if you can, if not at least 5 or 10, to do that R&R pose. Let yourself come to a greater place of confidence, a greater place of decreased stress, the ability to just breathe so that you can be empowered to do all that you are called to do in this season. And I bless you with that today.